So last time I was up here, I was talking about the intersections of traveling and Dharma and reflecting on my life and all the different lessons I learned and being able to see them through a Buddhist lens. And recently I created a bio for the website. So that was interesting to reflect on my life again and to see. It was kind of shocking. I've been traveling for so long, but to look at the numbers and to reflect on the places I went and the years, I, I realized I was traveling a long time, but to see it in that way was kind of eye-opening. So, yeah, I came to a realization as I was traveling, seeing all these different places, different clothes, different foods, and I came to the conclusion that people are pretty much the same. It's this very superficial external differences, but deep down, kind of everybody wants to eke out some happiness and, chasing after this and that. And then when I came to the Dharma, of course, we find out that everyone's just trying to seek happiness and run away from suffering as fast as they can. The irony is that they run straight into suffering, even though they're desperately looking for happiness. And that's been my experience over and over and over again. So we come here and we see all these different people, and we know something intimate about each and every person in this room, each and every person we encounter as we go into town, interact with different people and animals. We see that they, deep down in their core, just want to be happy and to avoid suffering. And that's pretty much it. When you peel away all the very superficial layers, there's this very simple connection between all of us. And that makes me feel like very close to all beings when I think about that. When I read The Art of Happiness by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he says, of course, when I meet someone, I look at them as a good friend. And he also said, we focus on the sameness between people when I meet them, and I don't focus on the differences, because that, for me, it feels like a separation when I focus on the differences. And when I look at the sameness, there's this closeness, this intimacy between me and the beings I'm interacting with. And it feels, I don't know, there's this good, warm, fuzzy feeling that comes up when I do that. So that's been really transformative for me. Even though, again, it goes against all of my conditioning, I really have to put an effort into it, but it's been really helpful. So here at the Abbey, we have different cultures. Just like when I was traveling, I saw these different cultures and different ways of doing things. In Japan, I realized that you can eat rice and fish for breakfast, and that's okay. It's not for everyone, but... And then in India and Africa, I learned that you could just eat with your hands all the time. And that's totally fine too, even if it's like this wet, sloppy, soupy thing. And you get your hands all gross and disgusting, and then you just wash them off. That's totally fine. Everyone else is doing it. No problem. So here at the Abbey, I look around. We have all these different cultures and backgrounds, and it's really beautiful, the harmony of all of us coming together and practicing and chanting harmoniously in these beautiful melodies, even though we have these ridiculous backgrounds and all these different things that we can share with each other. I really think it's so beautiful when I reflect on it. It's so nice. So we learn from each other by living with each other, and like Venerable Deki said today, we have this profound influence on each other. Whereas when we were outside in the normal world, we had a lot of influence on us from other people, maybe not a good influence, encouraging us to do things that are not virtuous. And here in this container, luckily, people are encouraging and engaging in virtuous activities, and we sort of delve into that. It seeps into our being. We're soaking it up like a sponge, and it's really beautiful. It's so blissful and joyous just to engage in virtue day after day. This 24/7, 365 virtue machine pumping out. Yeah, it's so great just to wake up and know that that's going to be your day, just like the day before and the day before. Something to look forward to. So I love that about being at the Abbey. My brother Matt, a lot of you met him when he came here. He has made me really think a couple of times. One time especially, he asked me after I came back, he looked at me and said, "What does it matter if you go to another country?" You know, it's like, what does it matter? You go see another place, another city, meet another group of people. And I didn't really think about it at the time, but he's totally right. What does it matter? You're just chasing after this next hit of excitement, and there's this freshness and newness of going somewhere. And eventually that newness of traveling kind of wears off. It gets a little thin, and yeah, luckily that suffering of that newness wearing off, it kind of it was this impetus for me to engage in something different, to really look at my life and see, is traveling the end all be all to life, or is there actually something more that I could be engaging in? And so I think that question eventually led me on this slow path to getting to the Abbey and being able to engage in something meaningful every single day, which brings a lot of joy and happiness to my life, to wake up and know that I'm doing something meaningful that's beneficial for all beings every single day. That's a beautiful way to live. Also, one time when I came back from India, he looked at me after a couple hours and he said, "You know, you don't look that different." You know, you don't seem that different. Like after 3 years of India, I was supposed to come back with, I don't know, weird hair and weird clothes. I had some of that, but I did have some of that. But he made me think at that time, like, am I different? I don't know. I really have to think about this. I decided that the difference was kind of internal. I had this internal switch, and you couldn't necessarily see it just externally, but I felt something different, this longing for learning more and more about Buddhism, engaging more and more in meaningful activities, and doing something really virtuous with my life. So I think at the Abbey, too, we're able to engage in meaningful activities. And the changes might be really, really slow. They're much faster than in the outside world, like Venerable Jigme says. But it is a slow process, and you can't necessarily see it day by day. But at least once a week, I'll notice something different. It's usually, I'll look at myself and say, why am I not angry right now? I'm getting criticized. There's someone who is irritating me, and for some reason, I don't know why I'm not angry. It's so bizarre. So it's in that moments that I realize, oh, something's working. And we do so many virtuous activities here. I can't pinpoint, okay, it's this thing that's working. It's the chanting, that's what's doing it. But no, we do these 24/7 virtuous activities, the chanting and the praying and the bowing and the taking refuge over and over and over again and setting our motivation. And I think it's the whole conglomeration, it's the whole deal in being imbued in Dharma day after day. And that makes this gradual change that sometimes I can see. And that's the impetus. It really gets me going. That fires me up at least once a week. When I can see it very clearly, like, wow, this is definitely working. I'm loving this feeling of not being angry. This is awesome. So I can wake up and do the same thing again, knowing that getting closer and closer and closer to Buddhahood and doing it for the benefit of all beings with this beautiful community, all working harmoniously together, these beautiful, wonderful people I get to spend my life with. Thank you so much.